And like you, I have a dream. Things could be so different. And these are some of the things we're talking about in this campaign. I want to see a transport revolution in this region, in this country, in this continent. I'm the national transport spokesman for the Green Party. Some of the things I'm going to be talking about in the coming weeks and the coming months are the cancellation of HS2 and the redirection of European funding for massive infrastructure projects in road and air into more sustainable directions. Just imagine what we could do with the money that those two things would unleash if we cancelled HS2 and at the European level took the tens of billions that go into vast road projects and air projects and put them into, what would we put them into? Well, for starters, we could start to turn the clock back on Mr. Beeching. How about reopening some of those wonderful branch lines in this county and in this region and in this country? And of course, we would renationalise the railways and enable a proper joined-up railway service in this company. We want to re-regulate the buses. Have you been on a bus in London in recent years? They're about 100 times better than the buses that we have in this county now. And that's because they're properly regulated. That's because essentially they run as if they were state-owned. We could re-regulate the buses across this entire region. Imagine safer streets. Imagine streets that children could play in again. Imagine the rolling out of lower speed limits, including 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in residential areas. There are 20-mile-an-hour speed limits now in a third of Norwich, and that's because of the action of Green Party councillors, including myself when I was on the council, on the Highways Committee. Imagine that across more of the region and indeed across more of Norwich. And cycling and walking. We want to put huge resources into these neglected areas. The amount that you can get in terms of improvement, bang for your buck, putting money into cycling and walking compared to big road or air projects is absolutely extraordinary. Let's have a transport revolution here in the East and beyond. And an energy revolution. Some of you will be aware of the brilliant work that our Norfolk Green councillors have done, getting solar panels put on the roofs of a load of council buildings here in Norfolk and making money out of it as well. Imagine if that was happening across the region, across the country, across the continent. And we have such scope in this region for good renewable energy. Think of the amazing wealth of our seas, mostly untapped. I was recently in Lowestoft, at the most easterly point in this country, at Ness Point, talking with the experts who are working on schemes to create, for example, wave energy devices, which simultaneously can act to prevent coastal erosion. Now talk about a win-win in an age of dangerous climate change. And the same kind of point, they want to put in a tidal barrier at Yarmouth, which would protect the Broads for 100 years from rising sea levels, and at the same time would create absolutely reliable tidal energy. That's the beautiful thing about tidal, of course. When people say to you, oh, renewable energy is unreliable, one very simple reply is to point out to them, well, how unreliable are the tides? We know exactly what they're going to be doing in 100 years' time from now, at every point on the coast, at every time of day. Tidal energy is an untapped resource around here, and it is right around here. Let's have an energy revolution here in the East, and across this country, and across Europe. And we want to see a Europe for people, not for corporations. Yeah? Thinking about Europe as a whole. Let's have a Europe for people, not for corporations. A great example of what I mean here is the way that our Green MEPs have actually taken the strongest action that has yet happened to clamp down on bankers' bonuses. Right, while our banker-friendly government in this country has been really just going through the motions, it's Green MEPs who've actually acted to clamp down on bankers' bonuses. So we are the real alternative to the neoliberal parties in this country and across Europe. They may be outspending us at this election. It's a David versus Goliath contest in that regard, which is why we need those of you who can to give us what you can so that we can compete with them. But ask yourself this, why do the other parties get more money in their war chests than we do? And of course, the answer is very straightforward. It's because they defend the status quo. They defend big corporations, and we don't. We want to go beyond corporate rule, and indeed beyond materialism, beyond consumerism, beyond growthism. The obsession with growth that grips all parties and the media in this country is really an excuse for, or a substitute for, what we need to do, which is have a more equal society. It's so tragic to look at the Labour Party, supposedly once upon a time a socialist party, where all they do now is talk about getting crumbs from the table of the rich. Oh, if we grow the pie, if we make the pie a bit bigger, then everyone can have a bit more. That's what Labour's come to, trickle-down economics. And by the way, think about that word, trickle-down economics. It's like you're desperately kind of got your mouth below some kind of tiny little trickle coming down from above. If they were actually serious about it, they would call it cascade-down economics. But they don't. It's trickle-down economics. It's basically for the good of the rich, and if the poor get a little bit extra, well, that's nice. It's not good enough. Growth is no longer economic. It's destroying more than it creates. The pie can't keep getting bigger because the ingredients are running out. Don't grow the pie, share it better for the common good. The government say we're all in this together. Well, we should all be in this together. But since the financial crisis, our society has grown more unequal. How incredible is that? The bankers, they're super rich, caused the financial crisis, and they have profited from it. This is absolutely outrageous. We can start to change this unacceptable situation. What the Greens in the European Parliament have achieved on bankers' bonuses is only the beginning. Colleagues, the European elections are our big chance to move forward, to become a more formidable electoral and parliamentary force, to get the parliament that we as a people and as a party deserve. And of course, the European elections are by proportional representation. Never let anyone in the next few months say to you, well, isn't the Green vote a wasted vote? That argument is a poor argument at the best of times. The only real wasted vote is a vote for something you don't believe in. But at these elections, it's absolutely clear that we can win. London and the South East have had Green MEPs for 15 years. Well, perhaps it's our turn now. And remember the results in the London mayoral and proportional representation London Assembly elections in 2012. The Greens came third. We beat the Lib Dems. Now there's an idea. You've been generous enough to invest your faith in me for this great task that we have here in the East. But I'm not alone. Number 2 on the list, Mark Herrera from Suffolk, our shadow MEP if I get elected. Waiting there, just in case I ever fall under a bus. No, it's good to know. It's good to know.
No, or if you get elected to Parliament, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. We could get 2, we could get 3, we've got 7 on the list. 95% of people vote Green, we'll have 7 MEPs. Let's dare to dream. But even if we don't achieve that great objective, Mark is there waiting if I get elected and he doesn't, to potentially step into my shoes, as it were, and I would have faith in him if that happens. You'll be glad to hear. Mark is going to talk to us in a few minutes about internationalism, about it's crucial that we are an internationalist party, and why it's crucial, therefore, that we are well represented in the European Parliament. And number 3 on the list, Jill Mills, our Hertfordshire candidate, is going to have a word with you also in a minute about Green views on health, absolutely crucial issue. And we have others as well, as I've just mentioned. Ash Haynes, give us a wave, Ash. Inspirational young Green and Norwich councillor. Mark Shyman, regular Green guest on 3 Counties Radio, our Bedfordshire candidate. Robert Lindsay, where's Robert? There you are. Robert Lindsay, national media experience, used to work on the Times, absolutely superb person in that way to have on the list. And Fiona, is Fiona here? Yeah. Oh, hi Fiona, sorry. Our Cambridgeshire candidate, who's recently been getting us our first serious broadcast media coverage in the Peterborough area and indeed across the region from that area. So we've got a great team here. And in a way, leading the team, we have, as you've already heard, Adrian Ramsey, tactical genius, our superb, it's not a joke, our superb candidate in Norwich, in Norwich House last time around, and of course former deputy leader nationally of our party, who better to have as a campaign manager? We are so fortunate to have this man telling us all what to do. Plus a number of others behind the scenes, several of them in this room. We have a superb team. And actually, you know what? The full team is you. Yeah? We're only going to do this if we're all in it together. Friends, comrades, countrymen.
Country people, you mean?
Doesn't scan so well, but I take the point. We can win. We can win, and we must. We have all in our heads, many of us literally in our nightmares, seen the future in flames if we don't. The 100 months to turn around the climate supertanker are half gone. We can and must turn this supertanker around. It starts here. This is our breakthrough. This is the start of our fight back. We need just 1% more than we got last time. Let's get, at the least, our first MEP this May. Starting today, let's win this thing.